Have you ever walked into a room and felt a shift in the air? Maybe you got a promotion, shared good news, or simply showed up as your full, unapologetic self, and suddenly someone's energy changed. They smiled, but it didn't quite reach their eyes. They congratulated you, but their words felt off. That's jealousy. And let's be honest, it's something we've all felt at some point. But there's a difference between feeling it and letting it control us. Jealousy doesn't always come with an eye roll or an obvious insult. It's sneaky. It hides behind backhanded compliments, exclusion, and quiet resentment. It's the friend who suddenly stops inviting you places, the coworker who downplays your success, the family member who supports you until you start doing a little too well. Jealousy doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It has deep roots, and at the heart of it all, it stems from fear and scarcity. It's the fear of not being enough, of not measuring up, of being left behind while someone else moves forward. It's the belief that success, love, happiness, or opportunity exist in limited quantities, and if someone else has more, we must have less. Think about it. Have you ever felt jealous of someone's success? Maybe a coworker got the promotion you wanted. Maybe a friend got engaged while you're still searching for love. Maybe someone you know started a business, gained recognition, or seemed to be living the life you wish you had. That pang in your chest, that voice in your head saying, why them and not me, that's fear and scarcity talking. Scarcity makes us believe that life is a competition, that there are only so many seats at the table, and if someone else gets one, we might be left standing. But the truth is, life isn't a zero-sum game. Someone else's success doesn't mean there's less success available for you. Someone else's happiness doesn't steal from your ability to be happy. But jealousy doesn't see it that way. It operates from the mindset of not enough opportunities, not enough love, not enough talent, not enough attention. And when someone believes there isn't enough to go around, they start to see other people as threats instead of allies. They start to compare, to measure, to compete. Fear is the other major driver of jealousy. The fear of being overlooked, of being forgotten, of not being good enough. It whispers, what if I never get there? What if they're better than me? What if I don't have what it takes? Instead of sitting with those uncomfortable feelings, jealousy redirects them outward. It convinces us that the problem isn't our own insecurity, it's the person who is succeeding. So instead of dealing with fear, some people let jealousy take over. They minimize others' achievements. They find ways to downplay success. They gossip, they criticize, they exclude. Not because they truly dislike the person they're jealous of, but because deep down they're afraid. Afraid of being left behind. Afraid that they're not enough. Afraid that someone else's shine will make their own light dim. But here's the truth, there is enough. Enough success. Enough love. Enough happiness. Someone else's win does not take away from your ability to win too. When we shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, jealousy loses its power. We start seeing other people's achievements as proof that success is possible, rather than as a threat to our own journey. So the next time you feel jealousy creeping in, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What story of scarcity am I believing? Then remind yourself there is enough. You are enough. And your path is yours alone. Jealousy rarely announces itself outright. It doesn't always come in the form of an open argument, an obvious insult, or a direct confrontation. Instead, it sneaks in through passive-aggressive comments, small acts of sabotage, and subtle behaviors that make you question whether you're imagining things. That's what makes jealousy so tricky. It often disguises itself as something else. Passive-aggressive behavior, the hidden sting of jealousy. Passive aggression is one of the most common ways jealousy manifests. It's a form of indirect resistance, a way of expressing resentment without actually admitting to it. Instead of saying, I'm jealous, the person will make comments or take actions that send a different message, one that leaves you feeling uneasy. Have you ever had someone give you a backhanded compliment? Something like, wow, I never thought you'd get that job. Good for you. You're so lucky things just seem to work out for you. It must be nice to have everything handed to you. At first, these comments might sound like praise, but there's a sharp edge hidden beneath the surface. They're designed to make you feel unsure, to make you second guess your achievements, to plant a seed of doubt in your own mind. Passive aggression can also show up in sarcasm, dismissive remarks, or exaggerated politeness that feels anything but genuine. A jealous person might pretend to be supportive in public but undermine you in private. They might roll their eyes when you talk about your success or make jokes at your expense, disguising their resentment as humor. And then there's the silent treatment, the unspoken way jealousy expresses itself. Instead of congratulating you, acknowledging your efforts, or showing support, they withdraw. They ignore your good news. They change the subject when you talk about your achievements. It's a quiet way of saying, I don't like that you're doing well, so I'm going to withhold my attention and approval. Subtle sabotage, when jealousy turns into action, passive aggression, is frustrating, but subtle sabotage takes jealousy a step further. It's when someone actively tries to undermine you, but in a way that's not always obvious. Maybe they accidentally forget to pass along important information at work. Maybe they spread rumors that damage your reputation, but never in a way that can be traced back to them. Maybe they give you misleading advice, knowing it will set you up for failure. Sabotage can also look like exclusion. A jealous person might stop inviting you to events, making sure you're left out of important conversations or group activities. They might create distance between you and mutual friends, subtly turning people against you by planting doubts or spreading half-truths. Sometimes sabotage is disguised as help. Someone might pretend to be looking out for you, only to give you discouraging advice. They'll say things like, are you sure you're ready for that? It's really competitive. I don't want you to get your hopes up. I just don't think this is your thing. I'm just being honest. I don't want to see you get hurt. At first, this kind of sabotage can be hard to recognize because it feels like concern. But the real goal isn't to help you, it's to hold you back, to make sure you don't surpass them. Why do people resort to passive aggression and sabotage? People who engage in these behaviors don't always do it consciously. Many times, jealousy operates in the background, influencing their actions without them even realizing it. They feel threatened, but instead of acknowledging their insecurity, they express it in ways that allow them to maintain a sense of control. It's easier to make a sarcastic comment than to admit, I feel insecure about my own success. It's easier to exclude someone than to deal with the discomfort of seeing them shine. It's easier to sabotage than to do the inner work of overcoming comparison and self-doubt. But just because jealousy is understandable doesn't mean we have to tolerate it. Recognizing these behaviors for what they are helps us protect our energy and set boundaries. How to respond to passive aggression and sabotage. If you sense jealousy disguised as passive aggression, don't let it shake your confidence. Instead, call it out with clarity and calmness. If someone makes a backhanded compliment, respond with directness. That sounded a little off. What did you mean by that? I appreciate the feedback, but I worked hard for this. If someone is subtly sabotaging you, don't engage in their game. Stay focused on your path, set boundaries, and surround yourself with people who genuinely support you. Jealousy loses its power when we refuse to let it control our emotions. Jealousy isn't just about wanting what someone else has, it's about how a person sees themselves. At its core, jealousy is often a reflection of low self-worth and an unhealthy habit of comparison. People who constantly feel jealous aren't just envious of others' success, they feel insecure about their own. They see other people's wins as proof that they are somehow losing. The trap of comparison, why them and not me? Comparison is the fuel that keeps jealousy burning. In today's world, where social media shows us carefully curated highlights of other people's lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking everyone else is doing better. Someone gets a promotion, buys a new house, travels the world, or seems effortlessly happy, and instead of being inspired, a jealous person starts to spiral. Why them and not me? What do they have that I don't? I work just as hard. Why am I not getting the same results? It becomes a never-ending cycle of measuring oneself against others, but the comparison is never fair. People who struggle with jealousy only see the final product, someone else's success, but not the struggles, sacrifices, or failures that came before it. They assume others have it easier, that their journey has been smoother, when in reality, every person faces challenges. But jealousy distorts reality. It makes someone believe that another person's achievements diminish their own worth. Instead of celebrating what they have, they focus on what they lack. Instead of appreciating their own journey, they fixate on someone else's. Low self-worth. The root of jealousy: people who are confident in themselves, who feel secure in their path, don't feel threatened by others' success. They know that someone else winning doesn't mean they are losing. But for someone who struggles with self-worth, every accomplishment someone else achieves feels like a reminder of their own perceived shortcomings. A person with low self-worth often doubts their own abilities and potential, feels like they're never good enough, seeks external validation. To feel worthy, believes their value depends on achievements, money, looks, or status. Because they don't have a strong internal sense of self, they look outward to measure their worth. If someone else is doing better, they take it personally, as if it means they are falling behind. Instead of recognizing that everyone's timeline is different, they see life as a race and they feel like they are losing. This is why jealous people often struggle with being happy for others. If they don't feel good about themselves, it's hard for them to genuinely celebrate someone else's joy. Seeing others thrive makes them feel worse, because in their mind, it highlights everything they believe they are lacking. How jealousy shows up in behavior: because jealousy is rooted in self-worth issues and comparison, it often shows up in destructive behaviors. Instead of focusing on their own growth, jealous individuals might criticize others to make themselves feel better. They might find flaws in a successful person, pointing out minor mistakes or trying to discredit their achievements. Downplay other people's success. Instead of acknowledging hard work, they might say they just got lucky or they had connections. Engage in gossip and negativity. They may try to turn others against the person they envy by spreading rumors or making passive-aggressive remarks. Sabotage relationships. A jealous person might distance themselves or create tension when they feel someone is becoming more successful. What they don't realize is that none of these behaviors actually make them feel better in the long run. Tearing someone else down doesn't build them up, it just reinforces their own insecurity. Breaking free from jealousy is shift in mindset. The truth is, comparison is a losing game. There will always be someone who seems to have more, who achieves things faster, who appears to have an easier path. But none of that takes away from our own unique journey. To overcome jealousy, a person must first work on their self-worth. They must stop measuring their value against others and start focusing on their own growth. This means recognizing their own achievements, no matter how small. Progress is progress, even if it doesn't look the same as someone else's. Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. There is enough success, love, and happiness for everyone. Someone else's win is proof that it's possible, not that they've taken something away. Practicing self-compassion. Instead of beating themselves up for not being at a certain place in life, they can learn to trust their own timing. One of the hardest things to accept when dealing with jealousy is realizing that it has little to do with you and everything to do with the person who is feeling it. When someone acts out in jealousy, whether through passive-aggressive comments, exclusion, or outright hostility, it's easy to take it personally. You might wonder, did I do something wrong? Did I make them feel bad? Should I shrink myself so they don't feel this way? But here's the truth: their jealousy is a reflection of their own struggles, fears, and insecurities. It's about how they see themselves, not about anything you've done. Jealousy is rooted in their inner battles. When someone is jealous, it means they are experiencing feelings of inadequacy. They see something in you that they either want or believe they should have, and instead of dealing with that discomfort in a healthy way, they direct it outward. It's important to understand that jealousy isn't always a choice. Many people don't even realize they're acting from a place of envy. Instead, their subconscious thoughts tell them things like, if they're successful, that means I'm failing. If they're happy, it must mean I'm missing something. If they're getting attention, that means less attention for me. When someone operates from this mindset, their emotions are driving their actions. Their jealousy is a reflection of their own self-doubt, their belief in scarcity, and their inability to celebrate others without comparing themselves. This is why their behavior is not about you. If it weren't you, it would be someone else. They would still feel jealous because their feelings are not tied to who you are, they are tied to how they see themselves. The projection of insecurity, jealousy, is often accompanied by projection. Instead of admitting to themselves, I feel insecure, I feel like I'm not enough, a jealous person will project those feelings onto you. They may try to make you feel small because deep down they feel small. Projection can show up in different ways, criticism disguised as advice. A jealous person might say things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that promotion? It seems like a lot of pressure." What they're really saying is, "I don't believe I'm capable of that, so I can't believe you are either." Minimizing your success. If they make comments like, "That's not that big of a deal," or "anyone could do that," they're trying to downplay your achievements, because recognizing them forces them to confront their own feelings of inadequacy. Talking behind your back. When people gossip or spread negativity about you, it's often because they feel threatened. By shifting the focus onto your perceived flaws, they avoid dealing with their own self-doubt. The key thing to remember is this: their words and actions are a reflection of their inner world, not of your worth. You are not responsible for their feelings. One of the biggest mistakes people make when faced with jealousy is thinking they need to fix it. They might try to dim their own light, avoid talking about their successes, or over-explain themselves to make others feel comfortable. But shrinking yourself won't make them feel bigger. Dimming your light won't make them shine. Their jealousy is their responsibility to work through, not yours to carry. You don't need to apologize for your success. You don't need to make yourself smaller to accommodate someone else's insecurities. True friendships, real relationships, and genuine connections are built on mutual support, not on walking on eggshells to avoid triggering someone else's jealousy. Compassion, but with boundaries, knowing that jealousy isn't about you doesn't mean you have to tolerate toxic behavior. However, it does give you the power to respond with understanding rather than defensiveness. Instead of reacting with anger, you can recognize that the person is struggling with their own self-worth. You can choose not to take their words personally, knowing they come from their own insecurities. But compassion doesn't mean you have to accept mistreatment. If their jealousy turns into negativity, gossip, or sabotage, it's okay to set boundaries. You can limit your interactions. If their energy is draining, step back from the relationship. Call out behavior calmly. If they make a passive-aggressive comment, respond with, "That sounded a little off. What did you mean by that?" Sometimes calling attention to their behavior makes them aware of it. Keep shining. The best way to handle jealousy is to continue focusing on your own path without letting their negativity get to you. At the end of the day, jealousy is their struggle, not yours. You are not responsible for how they feel, and you do not need to make yourself smaller to ease their discomfort. Keep growing, keep succeeding, and let their actions be their problem, not yours. Jealousy is one of the most universal human emotions. No one is immune to it. It doesn't matter how kind, successful, or self-aware we are, at some point we all experience that pang of envy when we see someone else achieving something we want. The question is not, do I feel jealousy, but rather, what do I do with it? Jealousy on its own is not necessarily bad. It's a natural response to seeing someone else with something we desire. It can even be a useful emotion, signaling to us what we truly want in life. The real issue isn't feeling jealous, it's how we react to it. Some people allow jealousy to consume them, turning it into resentment, comparison, and sabotage. Others learn to use jealousy as a tool for self-reflection and growth. The difference between the two is emotional maturity. The unavoidable nature of jealousy from childhood, we learn to compare ourselves to others. We notice when someone else gets more attention, a better toy, or an opportunity we don't have. As we grow older, jealousy shifts into different forms, feeling envious of a friend's relationship, a coworker's promotion, or a peer's success. It doesn't stop in adulthood. Even the most accomplished, confident, and self-assured people feel jealousy from time to time. A successful entrepreneur might feel envious of a competitor's faster growth. A writer might compare themselves to a best-selling author. A parent might feel jealous of someone else's seemingly perfect family. The key takeaway: feeling jealousy does not make you a bad person, it makes you human. However, if left unchecked, jealousy can become destructive. It can turn into bitterness, lead to passive-aggressive behavior, and even damage relationships. That's why how we handle jealousy is so important. The two paths, destructive Z. Constructive jealousy: when faced with jealousy, we have two choices. We can let it consume us, or we can use it to grow. Destructive jealousy, the path of bitterness. Some people react to jealousy in unhealthy ways. Instead of using it as a signal for self-reflection, they allow it to take control. This can lead to comparison and insecurity. They constantly measure themselves against others, feeling like they are always falling short. Resentment and negativity. Instead of celebrating others' success, they look for reasons to discredit or diminish it. Gossip and sabotage. They might spread rumors, downplay someone's achievements, or subtly try to make them fail. Self-doubt and avoidance. Instead of taking action to improve their own lives, they retreat, feeling like they'll never measure up. Destructive jealousy is a losing game. It drains energy, damages relationships, and keeps people stuck in a negative cycle. Instead of moving forward, they waste time focusing on what others have. Constructive jealousy, the path of growth, on the other hand. Jealousy can be a powerful tool for self-improvement if we learn to handle it correctly. Instead of letting it turn into negativity, we can use it to identify our true desires. Jealousy often reveals what we deeply want but haven't pursued. If we feel jealous of someone's career, relationship, or achievements, it's a clue that we should be working towards similar goals. Turn envy into inspiration. Instead of thinking, why them and not me, we can shift our mindset to, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Take action. Instead of dwelling on what we lack, we can focus on improving ourselves, setting goals, and working toward what we want. Practice gratitude. Focusing on what we do helps diminish feelings of jealousy. Everyone's journey is different, and there's always something to be grateful for. When we handle jealousy in a healthy way, it can serve as motivation rather than a roadblock. How to turn jealousy into growth if you find yourself feeling jealous. Here are some steps to turn it into something positive. Acknowledge the feeling, don't deny or suppress jealousy. Instead, recognize it for what it is. Say to yourself, I'm feeling jealous right now, and that's okay. Naming the emotion helps take away its power. Ask yourself why, dig deeper, what exactly are you jealous of? Is it someone's career success, their confidence, their relationships? Understanding the root of your jealousy can help you figure out what you truly want. Shift from comparison to inspiration. Instead of thinking they have something I don't, reframe it as, what can I learn from them? Look at their habits, mindset, and work ethic. Let their success be proof that your goals are achievable. Take positive action if jealousy is showing you what you desire. Use that energy to set new goals. Take steps toward your own growth rather than wasting energy resenting others. Practice gratitude, focus on what's going right in your own life. Gratitude shifts the focus away from what we lack and toward what we already have. Celebrate others' success. The ability to genuinely cheer for others, even when we feel jealous, is a sign of emotional strength. The more we celebrate others, the more we create an environment where success is shared rather than feared. Jealousy is a natural human emotion, one we all experience at some point. But what truly matters is how we choose to handle it. Do we let it consume us, turning into resentment, insecurity, and sabotage? Or do we use it as a mirror, reflecting back what we desire and pushing us toward growth? The truth is, jealousy isn't really about the person we envy, it's about us. It's about our own fears, our sense of self-worth, and the way we measure our own success. When we understand that jealousy comes from within, we take back our power. We stop seeing others as threats and start seeing them as reminders of what's possible. The healthiest way to deal with jealousy is not to deny it, but to transform it, to recognize it as a signal, a teacher, an opportunity to grow. Instead of comparing, we can learn. Instead of resenting, we can be inspired. Instead of tearing others down, we can build ourselves up. At the end of the day, the world is abundant. There is enough success, happiness, and opportunity for everyone. Someone else's win is not our loss. So the next time jealousy shows up, let's not let it make us small. Let's let it make us better.